Hi, I'm Peggy Kelly, and it's Thursday, April 15th, and this is Good Morning Santa Paula. And our guest this week is Mayor Carlos Juarez, the mayor of Santa Paula. Good morning, Carlos. How are you?
Good morning, Peggy, and thank you for having me on today.
Yes, and you're over. You've got a very nice background there, and you were saying you're over at the community center.
Well, it's such a beautiful day that I was driving around today, and I asked if there was someplace I could set up here at the community center. So they set up in the big auditorium a place for me here, and it's very nice. Like I said, it's a very nice day to be out and about, and so I stopped in here, and they set up this nice location for me here at the Parks and Recreation Department.
Oh, well, wonderful. It looks very comfortable, and it's nice to be able to go into the community center too at this point in time, considering how long it's been closed. Now, effective today, I know there's new guidelines or at least parameters of people who can get their COVID vaccine. Could you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, as you know, they've been slowly lowering the age of people that could get the vaccination. First, it was 75, and then 65, and then they dropped it to 50. And there was a little bit of a waiting period. But as of today, those people in the community now can that are 16 years older can go ahead and make a phone call or get online to schedule themselves for a vaccination. And I just want to say that those that want to do the first time vaccination should try to go through www.myturn.ca.gov, or there's also a phone number, the 823-422-4255, and that's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or I'm sorry, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Saturday, Sundays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But I have heard that if you're online, you may be able to get on there earlier. So the suggestion is to try to get on there maybe a little before 8 o'clock, maybe even 7. And then, of course, for the second doses, the appointments of Moderna and Pfizer are at www.vcrecovers.org or at number 805-477-7161. Now, that's for the vaccinations. Now, as far as the testing, there was a site for a long time here in town at the Oil Museum and in Park. They recently are closing down that location, and they're going to move all of the testing facilities to Kmart. It's still the part where you can drive in or walk up and get a test. And this is a take-home test. Now, what the recommendation is you take the test home, or you can even do it in the parking lot. And if you turn it in before 6 p.m., that's when they pick up the test of that day. I just recently spoke to someone who did their test, submitted it before 6, and sometime early in the morning, they got a text with the results of their test. So that's important to post them over their negative test, then on an airline. So that's important. And then, but you also have the option of taking the test and dropping it in the mailbox. But then again, there's a slight delay because it goes through the postal service.
Yes, absolutely. And also people can, as far as getting vaccinated, they can also contact their own physician, see by any chance their medical program offers it at the physician's office. And CVS and Rite Aid also have vaccines too. So, but you have to, whoever you get your first your first vaccination from, you have to go back to the same place for your second.
Yes, so, and as a reminder, more and more people are being vaccinated, but the recommendations are that you still practice, frequent hand washing, social distancing, and masks, because we're definitely not out of the woods yet.
No, absolutely. And I think as of yesterday, more than 50% of Ventura County residents have received at least the first shot. So that's encouraging. Yes.
Yes, and also one more thing, and that is, the two vaccinations that are being given, the Pfizer and the Moderna, those are obviously being given first and second doses, but there has been a slight hold on the Johnson & Johnson because of, some precautions that CDC is taking. But I believe it's about 13,000 people in Ventura County have had the dose of Johnson & Johnson, and I don't believe that I've heard that we've had any issues with the Johnson & Johnson, but just to be on the safe side, they are putting a slight pause on the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everything's changing so fast, and, they have to be uber careful, as it were, and they are being, and they've had a handful or less than 10 incidents, I think, which are very unfortunate, don't get me wrong, but that's out of millions of doses. So they don't know at this point if it's connected or even just an anomaly, Now, I see that there's a survey coming up with Athens. Now, Athens is the solid waste disposal company that services the city of Santa Paula.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is it's incumbent on the city when we have a franchise come in that they're performing to, the standards that everybody expects, not just the city, but the residents. And that's why it's important that our residents have a say in who we get a solid waste provider. So the ways that you can submit that is, there's a questionnaire that's being pre-printed that goes in your utility bill. And there's also a QR code that you can scan, and it'll take you to an on-site questionnaire. Let's see. Yes, and I think you can also scan it on social media and on Channel 10. So, but it's important that people have a say, and there's going to be different expectations. I mean, with any kind of service, you're going to have good and bad, and good days and bad days. So again, but everybody should have a say in how the service that we're being provided.
Sure, absolutely, and because they are a contract service versus a city direct service. Now, let's see. So they are sending out the pre-printed survey questionnaires in the utility billing, and let's see. And of course, you could also probably go to the city website, because I know that several people, and myself included, go ahead and have we don't receive. I guess I do receive a bill, but it just goes through the city, so I hadn't thought of that. So. Don't ever invite me again. How's that?
Well, and there should be several different ways to gain it, because some people read the paper, some do it electronically, some like QR codes. So people should have an option.
Okay, great. Thank you. Now, Santa Paula Beautiful. Let's talk about Beautiful.
We're coming up on another Santa Paula Beautiful. Several months ago, very, very successful. We had way over 300 volunteers who came out and volunteered for hours of work each. And when you get a project that you're doing and it's going to take you 4 hours, if you get several of your friends or 300 of your residents, you can accomplish that in a short period of time. So as you know, last time they did some painting, they did some brush clearing, they did trash cleaning, and they found some stuff that was hazardous to the community, that's located in our parks. So they're having another one, and that's going to be on May 1st from 8:30 to 12:30. And last year they had over 300 volunteers, and this time right now they have over 200 signed up at this moment, and they're going to be doing some cleanup. They're going to be cleaning out trash, painting buildings, and probably, I'm not sure if they're going to be doing some other type work, but I know that's in the future as well. And so the way you can register is you sign up at ASAP at www, or no, it says, well, wait a minute, it says here, because it says sign up ASAP at www.spcity.org. And that's on or before April 20th, and they'll coordinate the day with you. And as usual, at the end of the day, there'll be a lunch provided to all the volunteers, and there'll be people driving around with water to keep you hydrated, because that's something you need to do when you're out working in the sun. And I think this will happen, rain or shine. Maybe if there's rain, maybe not painting, but I would say that it's a very, very good thing for the community. And they hand out those shirts that you can take home as a keepsake, or they did last time, and I'm hoping they'll do that.
That's one of the reasons why they want you to register, I guess, is so they can go ahead and make sure you're going to get a shirt. And it's really a fun event, because I notice so many families take part in it together, and everybody helps. It's very sweet and very effective, I might add. I really enjoy seeing the results of that one. Now, recent council actions. I know the council's been meeting on a regular basis. Just for starters, any ideas on when they'll be able to open up the council chambers so members of the public can attend? And for that matter, when the council will come back, because I know the council for the most part has been Zooming in the meetings.
Well, last year when we went to this COVID lockdown, Mayor Ariza was having to run the meetings for 8 months through Zoom.
I know.
And it certainly isn't. There's so many things that the community lost out last year. I mean, when you think about it, our citrus festival, our pumpkin patch, the parades, even the Christmas baskets. And I mean, there's a lot of things that affect, and sports for the kids, and
Yes.
a lot of things we like. And so one of the things that the city did, and this was through the actions of the governor, is we're able to still have public comment, but it's through Zoom. And it's certainly not the same, but we do get written public comments where it's, we can either include it into the record for the legislative body, or we can have it read. And it's important, especially in this day and age where we have these media to have information given instantaneously, that we should read it and then include it into the record. So that's what we've done for the last several months. We have been approached, we mean in the council and city staff, when should we go back into open session. Well, as you know, we're in the orange tier right now, and there are restrictions on gatherings and private gatherings, and
Council chambers are pretty small.
it is pretty small. And you know, when even though a majority of the population will be vaccinated, there's still some thoughts as to whether if you're vaccinated, if you can be, you know, a carrier of the COVID virus. So one of the things that I've heard mentioned from city staff and the community members is, you know, let's not rush it. Let's try to set the example and be good stewards of the community, and not just us, but other groups, service groups, and everybody else that has people coming before them and meeting it. It should really be, and again, they're saying maybe June 15th might be the point where they drop all these tiers and, you know, have at it. But and me personally, I don't think we should rush it. We should be setting the example. But
Mhm.
we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, I was just looking for any indication. I get asked, and I'm sure you also do, just like I just asked you. So, you know.
No, I would say a good benchmark might be sometime at, you know, around June 15th, when they've kind of said that's where maybe the tier system may go away. That'd be a good benchmark to try to reach.
Absolutely. Well, we'll keep that in mind. Now, recent council items, I know you've been discussing the legislative platform adoption. First off, could you tell the audience what your version of a legislation platform is, as far as what that actually means?
Sure.
Tell
So
the
whenever
audience
an item comes
what your version
before
of
the
a
city council for its
legislation
support
platform
or
is,
opposition,
as far as what that actually
because of the
means.
Brown Act, you know,
Sure.
you have to discuss it in open session. So in other words, we couldn't call each other and say, what do you think about legislation on fracking? Or what do you think about legislation on increasing, you know, rates statewide, or taxes, or how much we're going to get? So the legislative platform is getting the council together and coming up with different parameters for different things. It could be economics, it could be infrastructure, it could be the economy, it could be the environment. And so the council has all these lists of things that, you know, they say, well, do we support this or do we not support it? And one example that came up recently was that there was going to be a vote at the League of California Cities where we were asked to either support legislation that would go after like social media if they post something that's dangerous to the community. Well, as a former police officer, I thought, well, that's actually pretty good, because you don't want somebody posting on Facebook, hey, we're going to go down to, you know, demonstrate tonight. By the way, bring your you know, your riot gear and baseball bats or whatever, because then you're inciting some violent reaction. So that's one of the things that was kind of leaning towards, was to hold them accountable if they allowed people on social media to post where they were going to go like demonstrate and do awful things. But on the flip side of that, you know, you have the First Amendment rights, which everybody has the right to First Amendments. Now, again, you've heard the saying, you can't yell fire in a theater, because then you could cause panic and hurt people. So before that was going to go to a vote down with the League of California Cities, we thought, let's bring it before the council, and it was a split council. And at that point, I think we were missing Councilmember Garmin. So at that point, the council split 2 and 2 on should we support it or not support it. So we actually abstained from the. So that's just kind of an example of, you know, how you might have either council that will lean one direction or might be split. So anyway, this legislative platform is a way to expedite if there's something that comes down from the state or, you know, a legislature, and they want the city of Santa Paula support. If it's already in our legislative platform, we could right away, our staff could say, well, the council has already decided they're going to support this type of action, or they're going to approve it. And then there's no delay. We can immediately get out a letter in support or in opposition of, and it doesn't have to go like scheduled for the next agenda. And we could be
Very interesting.
then we discussed it, and then at that time it might be on a time constraint. So that's a way to streamline a response from the city as far as how the 5 elected officials might support or oppose any kind of legislation or action.
And also, it's a way to, I guess, it's being proactive. So in other words, you've already taken positions on some of these issues, is what you're saying. And are these? Yes. Okay, great. No, that's wonderful. Okay, yeah, and that does save a lot of time.
And not only that, but I mean, I do got to say, it takes some time from the council, but the work has already been done by staff. The people behind the scenes that just put this stuff together and put it in a format that's easy to read and easy to understand. And then not only that, then once we're done, then they got to go back and put it into a format that now they can go back and research and find out how.
Yeah, absolutely. It saves work. Yeah, because you know, you have it all ready to go depending on the circumstances. Yeah, I think that's a very wise decision. Now, the council's also in the process of drafting a strategic plan.
Yes, our strategic plan is updated. I'm trying to think, maybe 2 to 3 years. And so the strategic plan this year was conducted with the 5 council members, all of the department heads, and it was open to the public. But, you know, and unfortunately, the first one we had a few weeks ago was started at 8 in the morning and went till 5 in the afternoon.
Yes.
For some people, it's hard to often come and sit at that long of a meeting. But if you wanted to do it at night when people are at home, but you can only see, it'd have to be in 2 or 3 or 4 different sessions. So we did as much as possible on that first day, and we did come up with a good sense of direction as far as where we're going with the city, as far as, you know, how we want to deal with streets, how we want to deal with parks, how we're going to try to get funding, how we're going to deal with some of the issues affecting us as far as inflation nationwide, those things. And but we didn't finish it a couple weeks ago, so we had another one yesterday. Yesterday, as a matter of fact. And that one started at noon, and it started with public comment. And we actually had 2 residents come in and speak, and very passionate about several different aspects, not only affecting Santa Paula, but nationwide. And so then from there, we went on into a 5-hour session and came out with a good sense of direction of a strategic plan. And now, again, staff has to go back and take all the notes from all the paper that was posted on the walls and combine it into a very a nice document that we can bring back for adoption. And some of that, for example, was, and I'll just hit on a couple of things that a speaker spoke about, was, as you know, our hospital was going to close a couple years ago. And it wasn't, if it wasn't for a group of residents in the Juarez Valley here that got together and told the county and the supervisors and the hospital administration, you know, you can't take away our hospitals. So that's when they extended it. And part of it had to do with making sure that we had the facilities for like CAT scans and you know, we have a delivery room for newborns. So so from that reopening, there's been a blue ribbon committee meeting that has kind of kept the county on track to try to keep Santa Paula Hospital. And several months ago, well, just before COVID, there was plans because our hospital has about 9 more years before it falls out of compliance with seismic retrofitting. So they've actually got a building hospital in its current location. They come up with a hospital that was downsized. It wasn't as what we thought it was going to be. So we're a little disappointed. But just a few weeks ago, at a Blue Ribbon Committee, the county came out with a new design for a hospital campus, and it involves everything from residency to offices to specialized training. Residency meaning like from doctors from when they first get their doctor, they come and use it.
Sure. I know that it's a teaching hospital for UCLA, so you know, and also when you have residents, very often they have to stay there. They pull 24-hour shifts practically.
Yes, so that's one of the things that, you know, obviously after the public speakers spoke about, was included in our strategic plan. That, and as you know, years ago there was supposed to be East Campus from the college, and that came and went. We got a small campus, but not like we thought we were going to get. So again, that's something that we need to make.
So yeah,
that's something that we need to make sure not only the city are engaged, but also the city with the county and with the college to make sure that that money that the residents voted for, you know, comes back to where it should have gone. So that's part of it. That's just 2 real highlights that there was a lot of things, but those are 2 highlights that were brought forth from public comment and something I believe the council is going to adopt in its strategic plan.
oh, that's great. Well, no wonder it was a day and a half, I guess, actually, because you had another half-day one. So
Yes.
yeah, wonderful. Now, when do they bring that plan back as far as just so we can refer people to read it online or whatever?
I would imagine it's going to take at least, not obviously next week council meeting, but probably the first council meeting in May.
Yeah, and then the council approves it, and then if the copies are available and the whole thing. Well, actually, they'll have copies of the draft anyway out with the report. So yeah, well, very good. Okay, well, that's exciting because I know the economy's looking better and we have to be prepared to take advantage of that. And we have to see what's going to happen with the hospital and make sure we keep a hospital out here and try to do the best we can with the college district. And so, you know, everything's got to move, but you got to have a plan, like they always say, you know. So what else? Anything else going on we should know about, or better yet, not know about?
Well, if somebody reads tomorrow's edition of the Mighty Santa Paula Times, there's an article that really highlights the actions of Arnold Jew.
Oh, yes.
Yes, this is, you know, as he said last Sunday, there was a ceremony to award him the Congressional Gold Medal for being his service in World War II. And, you know, it's unfortunate, and it was said by several speakers. There was the Congresswoman Brownlee was there, and Carmen Ramirez, the supervisor, as well as Councilmember Cornejo, and a representative from Monique Limon's office, and a representative from Kelly Long's office. But they presented Mr. Jew with the Congressional Gold Medal at his home Sunday, and there was a lot of family there. And at first, it was supposed to be a very low-key event, but it really shouldn't have been, because normally that is given in the rotunda of the Capitol, and but because of COVID, they couldn't. But also, one of the speakers did mention that this was, in fact, an oversight on the government, not providing recognitions to some of these war veterans. And as Mr. Jew said, he said, you know, this is a great honor, and he also said it's a long time coming. So, you know, and you know, one speaker even said, you know, because of COVID, unfortunately, our Asian Americans are being mistreated. So this was an opportunity to award and to acknowledge the heroic and just valiant efforts of one of Santa Paula's own, Mr. Arnold Jew, and we were all just pleased to be there.
Mhm. And of course, Jeanette Harege, who was there and did the story for the Mighty Santa Paula Times, she knows his grandson and has known his family and didn't realize that it was the same one. And she's very well known for her wonderful writings and documentaries and even books on veterans. So we love to support our veterans in Santa Paula, and I was really pleased to see it too. And you were there, so they had the honor of the mayor, and that can't beat that with a stick, as they used to say, you know. So that's wonderful. And everybody congratulates the Jew family. And so what else? Anything else?
Well, I can't think of anything else other than, you know, things are starting to open up. People are starting to go to restaurants, and, you know, I think it's going to be a while before we're back to normal. In fact, I don't know if we'll ever be back to normal. It'll be the
New
normal.
normal. Mm.
But I think with that will come maybe opportunities for expanding what we're doing now. For example, outside seating. It's so nice to sit outside in the summertime and enjoy food and drinks with your friends. And, you know, like today, I was outside at a local restaurant eating outside. And maybe that'll be part of the new normal, is opening up our downtown and other places around town to outside seating and outside eating. So.
Yes, wonderful. Well, I'm very pleased to see that. And actually, it does add a lot to the ambiance. And as we all know, I guess Ventura is talking about making their closure permanent on their a portion of their Main Street, not all their Main Street, but, you know, because it adds so much. So, and it looks just beautiful, and people are flocking to it. They really enjoy it. So. So, you know, so there will be some permanent changes, and hopefully they'll all be for the better eventually, you know. So Carlos, I appreciate it. Any last thoughts?
Just, I know it's been a while. In fact, you hear of people finally able to hug their new grandchildren or their grandparents, and, you know, friends they haven't seen in a while. But just again, I think I just need to emphasize that, please, we really need to just adhere to the hand washing, social distancing, and masks, at least for a little while longer. Let's not let our guard down too soon, and then we'll get over this and get back to the real old normal again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Peggy.
Always appreciate you catching up with the people of Santa Paula, what's happening in Santa Paula. I appreciate it too, Carlos. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peggy.
Once again, this is Good Morning Santa Paula, and our guest today was Carlos Juarez, the mayor of Santa Paula, and he gave us information about a wide-ranging number of subjects, and it was very informative. You can watch this on cable channel 10. If you have Spectrum cable, you can go to kadytv.net or .com, whatever your finger takes you to, and watch it there. And you go to YouTube, watch it on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe. It's free and it helps us to continue to bring you broadcasting like this. So once again, I'm Peggy Kelly. We're very happy to talk to you today, Mayor Carlos Juarez, and everybody have a safe and COVID safe weekend. And thank you so much. Bye-bye, Carlos. Thank you again.